funny?
What's funny?
Well, whenever we cook inside, Mom always does the cooking. But whenever we cook outside, you always do it. How come?
Well, it's sort of traditional, I guess. You know, they say a woman's place is in the home, and I suppose as long as she's in the home, she might as well be in the kitchen.
Fortunately, in today's world, we've left misogyny behind.
When you interview her, will she be sitting on your lap?
One can only hope.
Beautiful Ivanka.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we've actually recently fallen behind by about 100 years.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
I am one of countless women who has experienced sexual violence, including rape. I consider myself an expert on the topic, not only through my personal experience, but also from founding a nonprofit for rape and incest survivors, as well as speaking to hundreds of survivors and hearing their stories. Misogyny has been normalized in our culture to the point that women expect to experience misogyny and sexual harassment on the streets.
Hey, what's up, girl? How you doing? Somebody's acknowledging you for being beautiful. She's an angel.
In the workplace,
From 9 to 5, they'll take it all they can.
and even in our homes. Despite these experiences, we like to believe that society is changing for the better, possibly improving. But is it? For instance, sure, women can now serve in the military, but when female soldiers make sexual harassment claims, they frequently face retaliation, while the perpetrators go unpunished. We think that sexual harassment policies in the workplace are there to protect victims, predominantly women, but men do get harassed as well. But the policies frequently do nothing. In fact, these policies often end up protecting perpetrators in positions of power. Power silences the little guy.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy.
It's not that women don't want to do something to stop the harassment, but in many cases, women are forced to accept these behaviors because they simply have no recourse. That's probably why 75% of people who experience sexual harassment don't report it. It's understandable why victims of sexual harassment would be terrified to speak up. You become a victim all over again. Female farm workers are one of the most vulnerable populations to experience sexual harassment and not speak up because half of immigrant farm workers don't have legal immigration papers. Employers know this and use threats and intimidation to keep their workers quiet. And the farm workers have little to no protection because of immigration policies that forbid representation of undocumented workers. So the question isn't what we should do in response to sexual harassment. It's how do we prevent this from happening? Harvard recently published research on how to prevent sexual harassment titled The Talk. I spoke to the main author, Richard Weisborg, and asked him, in a nutshell, what can we do as a community to stop sexual harassment? And his response was that we need to start having the conversations with kids as early as 6th grade around what respect means. Teach kids early on that men and women experience things differently. Let boys know that there is nothing macho about bonding with friends and degrading women. When it happens, teach them to stand up for the person being degraded, and that's what is honorable. We need to stop dividing girls into good and bad girls and slut shaming. Stand up for those being slut shamed. One thing he says we can collectively do is stop perpetuating the idea that boys being boys and locker room talk are okay. They're not okay. I also spoke to Debjani Roy at hollaback.org, a global movement working to end harassment. She broke it down simply for me. She says we need to, 1, affirm it and name it for what it is, harassment. 2, confirm it's a problem and validate the experience. Share your story and read other people's stories. And 3, move the community to confirm that it's not an individual's responsibility to respond to harassment, it's the community's responsibility. A simple action you can take that makes a huge difference is to give the person being victimized what she calls a knowing glance. She says that even a small, unspoken acknowledgement during or immediately following an incident has been proven to reduce the victim's experience of trauma. Together, we can change harassment culture if we stop tolerating it, start talking about it, and call it out when we see it happening. If you're interested in learning more about how you can stop harassment when you see it happening, hollaback.org is offering a free bystander intervention digital training for the month of July. Visit ihollaback.org to register. I'm Gina Kim. Thanks for listening.